Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash _ Bo3 Sam, and to our farthest right, per usual, is none other than Rex, Shady, Nero, and guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to talk about today, obviously. This is our first quote-unquote bye week in basically the whole year. So we have actually a podcast today to have some fun conversations. So today, we're going over the top 5 players at every single position in the CDL, and we have a lot of news to talk about. CoD 2021, the format for champs, obviously JOHN, the potential of a London roster change, a lot more. The stage 5 groups were announced, so we have a packed episode today, and we have a lot to get into. Before we get to any of that, guys, I've got to ask, boys, what's going on?
Well, Josh, I am feeling like a salamander that is crawling around in the gravel in Florida. And I'm like, who's this Florida man at the gas station? And why is he drinking the gasoline? But I'm a salamander, so I'm like, maybe that's healthy for humans. And so I go about my day and I eat a few flies, and honestly, I go home with my wife and kids, and I'm feeling great.
Wow, man. That's great, dude. But the world's just chaos around you. Sam, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, man.
I don't know how to respond to that one.
I like the look in your eyes, like I have no idea what I'm gonna say right here, but then Salamander came out like that.
That's what it is every time. I just come up with it.
Yes. It's quality, but yeah, man, we have, like I said, there's a ton to talk about today. Obviously, you can listen on Spotify, you can listen on Apple iTunes, you can watch on YouTube, you can drop a comment on YouTube, or you could drop a review on Apple Podcasts. And Sam, what do you got for us today?
You fellow creatures have been put in some work. We have 4 new reviews.
Ooh, things we love to see there.
So I have to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick this one. Here we go. This one is by Tyler Greeny.
All right.
Title is LAG.
Uh-oh. Shout out Tyler.
How are you talking about LAG so nicely? They are absolutely terrible.
Oh, no.
Sheen was their best player. They need to drop silly, assault, and apathy and get young talent next to mental. It's so clearly friends protecting each other. Not one of those players will be in the league next year. They are atrocious as a unit, and playing together for so long has ruined all of their stuff. Let's keep it real. It's hard to listen to this. Be more like the flank and tell it how it is.
Whoa, you really chose a nice review. Is this a 5-star review?
5-star review.
5 stars though, so
I mean, I'll be honest, I thought it was just gonna be like their take.
Oh, you didn't check out the roller coaster before you wrote on it, did you?
But it turned out to be a okay. Well, thanks, Tyler Greeny.
Hey, 5 stars. 5 stars.
Interesting. I mean,
listen, I was being optimistic about mental and the change.
I legitimately think that, like, out of the options that they had, would it be better if they maybe just tried a whole new squad of 4 at this point and just, again, we talked about maximizing the Hail Mary in the last episode.
Hail Mary, yeah.
Maximize the Hail Mary. So yeah, obviously, maybe picking up a whole new squad would maximize the Hail Mary more. You kind of just have to go with it.
Like, LAG has 8 players on payroll, right? Like they have the 4 and challengers, and the 4 in the pro league.
Yeah, I mean, their academy hasn't been by any means like world stoppers. So like, what are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah, so there's contracts involved. There is something about LAG. Like they have a certain strength to them. And I think people can see that. Like they're not winning, but they're competing. Like it's there. And they almost win.
They're taking maps off people. They just can't put it together. The biggest problem for them is the S&D, really. I mean, like where they were so good at it early in the year, and it just hasn't been there since. Yeah. And that's just been a big problem. So,
hey, that's fair, Tyler.
Well, that dude really dropped the bomb on us there. I mean, hey, you know, jeez. Okay, well, here we go. Anyway, I think that can send us into the news of the week. We can just go for it.
News of the week.
We just got like nuked there at the beginning of the podcast. I was so caught off guard by the nice 5-star review.
I was like, vibes are shot. Podcast over.
I probably should have vetted that one a little bit better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, I kind of like it. It's like Pandora's box.
It was good, man.
I know. That's like letting like the dude or the kid who's nowhere close to riding the ride the ride. You let him just hop right in.
I did.
Like, geez, like simple really the roller coaster. So, all right, well, here we go, boys. Let's go to the news of the week. Let's go.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
What was with the simp stray? Just a random.
I know. I was like, throw that in there.
All right, we'll go to the next thing. But simp came right there. I was like, whoa.
Ship is so short.
So sorry, simp.
Short.
I have no room to talk. I mean, at the end, like
That's true.
what gets that was just comedy. I mean, the Trojan horse, the how you read it so optimistically, and it just kept getting more negative.
I kept reading it like, I probably should have done that.
I kind of like it that way. I think we should keep it like that.
Yeah, honestly, that could be the right way to go.
Keep the
optimistically positive 5
let's
stars.
get 5 stars hates in here. We'll take 5-star hate.
Yeah, man.
I like that.
Speaking of 5-star hate,
don't
Rex,
do it. Don't do it.
I mean,
regularly.
The news of the week is a thing.
News of the week,
Rex.
league news. All right, LA Thieves.
We've been off
more
the
roster
rails.
changes. John is back.
Let's
Sam,
go, baby.
I thought
Yeah,
I
wow,
thought
Sam.
I would hear
Oh
that
my
from
goodness.
you. The person they benched for him, TJ.
Mhm.
There was
Crazy.
some drama. If you watch the flank, you could see TJ had options of maybe going to
Florida.
Mutineers in place of Havoc, but that's not happening, I don't think, anymore.
Yeah, as of we know, no.
So he's riding the bench. He's going to go to Challengers. We'll
Yeah,
see how
man.
he does.
For sure,
Pros, how have they
Lifestar,
been in
right?
Challengers? They've been
Hit or
okay.
miss. Hit or miss.
It's hit or miss.
Yeah.
Methods didn't make the Elite Series. That's
No.
something.
Well, that was because there was a whole thing there where he woke
There was
up
some
right
drama.
before, because then that happened on the flank as well, where he woke up right before, and then his teammates were roasting him like, "Yo, how are you waking up 5 minutes before your Elite Series match?" And they end up losing to LAG Academy, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Well,
And
Censor's team, I think.
oh no, yeah, you're right. It was Censor's team. And
Pioneers now.
because Censor clutched up in like the round 11 and made that happen. But yeah, that was some comedy. So there was quite a bit of drama in the M scene there. But as for John, obviously,
John.
we did talk about some of this like last week with the potential of the rumors stirring, but it became finally official. And yeah, LAT's gonna be a fun team, man.
It's going to be crazy.
Do you
John-
think they're upgraded from this?
Oh, 100%. 100%. 100% upgrade.
Obviously, also Huke hit the bench.
Yes.
So Drazah and John were brought in.
Mhm.
And Teej and Huke hit the bench officially. Kenny went on the flank and talked about Huke and kind of vetted the whole situation where it was, for the most part, the combination of all 3 things. Literally what we were talking about last week was that he was late, he didn't have his ID, and he just kind of like didn't really get the whole gist of the importance of it and thought it'd be fine if he just had the quick one.
He said, too, that Mud Dog was texting him, like, set up your
Yo.
account before you get here.
Yeah.
We have scrims at, like, 1?
Whatever
And-
it was, yeah.
And then he called the Uber at 12:50.
That's
I
tough.
was like, oh, bro.
Which is crazy with Huke, because Huke has just come off so much drama with the
I know.
whole this whole video
It doesn't
spiel, the
add
whole
up.
drama with Empire, then picked up by LA Thieves, then he's benched by LA Thieves, then he's picked up by LA Thieves again. And then this happens. It's like, I thought he was on the upswing, and then this happened. I was like, what was he? Is he actually high? What's going on here?
It was such a roller coaster.
I mean,
of-
that's the thing. I mean, he definitely did not take it responsibly, though. I mean, like, there's a certain level of like, you just assume this is going to be fine.
Mhm.
And then when you're not able to get the simple things down, then that's when you have the questions.
This is later on in the news, but Grim is still going to drop that video on him.
Yeah, I guess we could already talk about that now since we're already talking about it.
Yeah. So Crim did verify that he's dropping the video still.
Yes.
At some point, do we know timetable wise?
No, we don't. He did say that he was going to wait a little bit to do it at some point. He said he was talking to some people about it, apparently. Yeah, so we don't necessarily know exactly the timeline, but it's definitely happening at some point. And that definitely does not bode well for Huke and his, like, look in the scene right now. I mean, he definitely still has his boys, for sure, like the Temps of the world and those guys. But, like, you know, with a lot of maybe with some of the players in the league, it might hurt his stock a little bit heading into the CDL next year.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Crim video, because I know it was after the major, he was like, I'm going to post a video, but he had to go to like a wedding first. And he was talking to lawyers. He had a cease and desist order on on Huke and his brother.
I don't know if that was a troll or not.
That had to be a troll. That's classic Crim right there.
It's so hard to
I
tell
don't
these
know.
days.
You don't know with Crim. And so I don't know what's going to happen with Huke. Part of me thinks he's talked about going to a different game. Part of me thinks he might end up trying to go to a different game.
That would be interesting.
it seems impossible.
I don't think so. I think there's still teams that can greatly benefit
For
from
sure.
Huke
I mean, like
being on the
again,
team.
like if you're a team like Paris, London, or LAG or someone like that, and Huke comes to your door like, yo, I want to build a team here with you next
Yeah.
year, you're gonna
Mhm.
say yes. So
But will
I think
Huke
that's where it
want
ends
to
up
do
playing
that?
out. Right, and that's the question. That's hard to say. I honestly don't know.
I don't
But
think we'll have an option to. I don't think the top teams want him anymore.
yeah,
Well, I'm saying like for me, it's either he's gonna get picked up by another team or he's going to a different game. And the reason he goes to a different game is because he doesn't want to play COD at a professional level anymore.
I still think he does, and he's not gonna play this year, rest of the year, which is insane. But I do think that he'll get signed in the offseason for a squad.
I agree with that take. I don't think he's
Hopefully.
ready. I don't think he's ready to quit just yet.
No. So as for LAT, I mean, obviously with John now and Drazah, they were doing some scrims. I watched a little bit of them team or scrimming in earlier this week. Inconsistent results, to say the least, throughout the scrims. Again, it is early for their squad though. So, I mean, where's your optimism level at now with LA Thieves then? Is it like, give us a confidence thing and where you think this team can end up here moving forward in stage 5 and champs?
Part of me wishes they would have had this roster sooner and not made so many changes when they had this roster. Because I do like this roster, but I don't know if they're going to have enough time to build it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, literally last week we did talk about how Drazah needed to have a spot in the CDL. We were literally having the convo like, yo,
100%.
Drazah needs to be a starter. Or like next year he needs to be a starter. That happened way faster than we thought it was going to. And so that gets me at least a little optimistic to see what this team could turn into. But in the short term, I'm not confident.
Exactly.
You're looking solely at champs for this team.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
they'd be. I think you'd be happy to get top 6 at the state in stage 5.
Absolutely.
If you can get
Yeah.
top 6 at the major, you'll be feeling pretty good about that. And since your spot for champs is already pretty much guaranteed, although your spot in winners for champs is not guaranteed, which is the potential problem for them. So, yeah, and things could change for champs still at this point. Who knows? But those are kind of my thoughts. Where
I'd be confident. I mean, you've got 3 guys now who are going to work with Slasher really well.
and Drazah seems to be working with Slasher.
Drazah seems to be working with Slasher. Drazah should have never been dropped in the first place ever. I mean, that dude proved. I mean, he went down to Challengers, won the next event. They got picked back up or put on the starting roster again.
Yeah,
John has been looking great. I mean, he's always been in the top. He hasn't won everything, but he's won a good amount
since
of
March
events.
he's been really, really good.
Yeah.
Even individually, yeah.
Exactly. So I think this is a team that's going to be hungry. You have Slasher, who proved himself at LAN again. I mean,
He played relatively well.
Yeah,
He did.
It could have been worse.
yeah,
With the new squad, with a pickup team
Mhm.
heading into an event like that, like good luck.
yeah. Optimistically, I mean, I'm saying like top 5 champs.
Honestly, Sam, I'm in the same boat. Like, I'm feeling similar. Like, I just feel much better about this LA Thieves squad.
I'm not as optimistic. I mean, like, because then you're thinking about Florida. Now that Dallas is a solidified top 4 team, you know, you're looking at Florida and Optic, and I would still say it's going to be a minute before this LA Thieves squad is in that conversone. Like, probably
I don't
a
think
few
they're going
weeks.
to win champs. I'm not saying they're going to win champs. I just think they're a better team than they were before.
I think Thieves could beat Optic.
At champs
With this new roster.
by champs.
I'm with
It's
Sam
hard.
on that, honestly.
It's hard for me to see it right now.
It
It's
depends
possible,
on what
though.
fire Optic brings to the table.
I mean, sure, it's possible, obviously. It just kind of depends. I definitely wasn't impressed off the rip, but again, so much has changed, and these guys are, and like Slasher's coming off of not playing for months.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So-
how did John look when you're watching the scrims?
Decent. Again, they were struggling, especially early on in the first start of the scrims.
I think we all agree the short term is not going to be anything special for these guys, but champs maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously what they're aiming for here. So that'd be the question. So I don't know. I mean, any other things there with like your thoughts on that squad? Obviously, I'd imagine they'll experiment a little bit with like Kenny and Drazah and how that plays with like the second AR and who's better on the SMG.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be an experiment over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
It seems like it's going to be Drazah on
Yeah.
SMG, but
Yeah,
you know that is potentially for
I think Drazah's
change.
one of the few still true flexes that can play both pretty well.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense. So
All
It's
right.
gonna be fun.
So we were talking about CoD Champs. The format, I believe this was all kicked off somewhat by a Crim6 sort of
Troll
trolling
tweet.
tweet.
Yeah.
Crim6 says in his tweet, let all 12 teams compete at Champs. And then he added the CoD League. And then the next day, essentially, he says, psych, LMAO, should have bought a Netgear Nighthawk. You fucking shit stains. So that kind of kicked off a whole nother conversation. Then Attach had his own tweet. He says, and this is more of a realistic idea of what they should do for Champs. We should change CoD Champs to CDL playoffs where 8 teams qualify like it is now, which is very reminiscent of what the CWL kind of used to do.
CWL playoffs, yeah.
Yeah. And then have like a real CoD Champs where all 12 CDL teams are there, along with 4 to 8 of the top challengers teams, and use points from the challengers events to qualify. Now, I think a lot of us think that second idea is great. I personally love that idea. Will they do it?
That's
No.
the thing. Yeah,
I don't think they will.
Exactly. And this comes down to the conversation that we had, like where one event with a separate prize pool for the amateur teams might be the only realistic option. And it's like a US Open style event. I think it might be the only realistic option, but I do love the idea of it happening at Champs though. But having a prize pool where amateur teams could win it just seems impossible at this point for what the CDL has been. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think first thing is like orgs put in a ton of money. They don't want their pro team to lose to a semi-pro team. That's just a bad look.
Or just, I think at the end of the day, it's about the money. Like they don't want the amateur teams to have the same opportunity to win X amount of money as they do because they paid so much money to be in the league, which is real, which is fair from an organization perspective, which is why I think they should have separate prize pools.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how much of the winnings is actually going to the org, though. Some orgs give all the winnings to the players.
Well, yeah, sure. Depends on the Oregon player, but
That leads us to a next thing. Adam Apicella, the GOAT, the guy who did
The
CDL,
GOAT.
MLG. He says,
the GOAT, literally.
I think for CDL champs, this is not COD champs.
It's a little
Teams
goat.
should be eliminated after a robust regular season. However, I don't think teams should start in losers if they qualify. Just my opinion, but why have a regular season to the degree CDL does if everyone qualifies?
I agree.
I agree. I'm on board with that for sure. However, don't think teams should start in losers. Do you agree with that?
So, first of all, the debate for 12 teams being at champs stems from the idea that because of COVID, where we didn't have online or we had only LAN for 2 events, that teams had an unfair go at it because LAN changes the whole game. And that's kind of like what a lot of fans have the perspective of the 12 teams at champs format, is that it was an unfair, the first 3 events barely even count because they were online. Therefore, really what should happen is that all teams should make it because it was an unfair playing field throughout the year. That's kind of the debate there. As for Adam's tweet specifically, I agree that like at the end of the day, you shouldn't, if we have a season this long and the idea from the beginning was the top 8 qualify, then I agree with that. The top 8 should qualify.
Should the teams that are in the lower tier be starting in losers though?
No, I don't think they should.
So you agree with Adam?
100%. 100%.
So
I think it's a better format in general for a viewer's perspective.
What would be the advantage then for the top teams?
There is none.
The bye weeks.
You just get to go.
At least, well, in the other format, there's sometimes like maybe a 1 week bye, like a 1-round bye, but like not like a 2-round bye, like what FaZe gets right now or whatever.
Yeah.
So
anyways,
that's kind of the debate there. I mean, yeah, the other part of Adam's tweet was the World Cup aspect of it and the Olympics style side of things, which we saw caught some win this week with CDL Intel. Shout out CDL Intel. Talking about the potential, what these rosters would look like and what this type of event would even be like. And I think it would be epic. Thoughts?
So cool.
I mean,
it'd be so cool.
so Overwatch does do a World Cup.
Yeah, I know you love that.
Honestly, I did. I like the Overwatch World Cup maybe more than I like
The actual
just the champs.
OWL. Yeah.
So it would be awesome, but I feel like the demographic is so narrow.
What's the thing? So like in OWL, is it only the players that are in the league, or they allow players that aren't in the league?
So they allow anybody,
Okay.
like whoever. It goes by country, but Owl has way more like competitive players from different countries than
I see what
COD
you're
does.
saying. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Like there's almost a good player from a lot of the countries now. Like you have Finland, you have England, you have like, and they're like really top tier players in these like scattered around the world. Whereas COD, it's very narrow.
yeah. So, I mean, the CDL Intel made a total of 10 teams, a USA East, a USA West, and then, like I said, Canada, Mexico, France, Spain, Japan, Scotland, Australia, England.
But then the Mexico one, like they threw like, I think attach on the Mexico
Well,
team.
yeah,
Like,
he has Mexican heritage.
like sure you could do that.
Guys like
I don't know.
Sib
It
and
kind of
stuff.
takes it away from me.
I mean, that's what soccer does. I mean, the international United States team has like 8 foreign-born players on it, but they have United States citizenship, so they play on the USA team. I know, like just from coming across people, like we could definitely have a German team. There's been a German team in Challengers before. We could have a handful of other. Yeah, they have Japan there. I know India has a decent scene too. Brazil has a decent scene. So you could get some more. You could get some more teams in there.
I think you could get teams to like, there's always players probably in every country, but they're just not going to be the same caliber.
Oh, they'll get absolutely smoked, but like,
Yeah. And like that was the same in our World Cup, sort of, but there just are more teams that are competitive than I think we would see in COD.
I mean, yeah, obviously the USA team the USA, Canada, and Mexico teams would be, well, I mean, England would have, there'd be 6 teams, 6 or 7 teams that have a real chance.
Like, yeah, England, Scotland, United States, Canada.
France?
Those are the only ones. There's
France and
Hydra.
Mexico.
I mean, yeah, I guess there might be a few.
Again, you'd have like 6 or 7
depends how many
teams that'd be
teams
pretty
you
dang
have.
good, but I don't know. I think it'd be really cool. I would love to see something like that eventually. Again, these are things that are like, man, it just feels like COVID just horribly delayed all of these things that would be so awesome for the CDL, eventually. And hopefully we can get to that point. Any other thoughts on the format of things or what you'd like to see? Again, at the end of the day, where you at with champs? Do you want to see 12 teams there?
I think the people are miffed about the champs format. I think is right. It has become more of like they're gonna play like 2-3 series and then they win champs. And it's like it really takes away from the days of old when it was like this whole tournament and everybody had to start from the beginning. And it was really, really fun that way to follow along because then you could see some like crazy upsets, some crazy runs happen. But with this format, you go in, it's like the top 2 teams, one of them like just had it like they're not getting upset. They win 2 series and they're in champs. Like they're like in the grand finals, which just wasn't the case before. Like they had to play however like 10
but at the same
series.
time when you have a regular season this long, you have to have them have a big advantage. You have to.
Yeah, I mean you do. Like that's maybe the whole format needs a rework in some way because it does take away that
because it's like otherwise what does the regular season matter, like nothing, like 0, so
you
I
just
mean,
need to
like
make top 8 and that's
at least
it.
with this format every match quite literally equaled $signs at champs. Like every match that you had gave you a better chance at guaranteeing yourself champs money, which was something that, I mean, obviously FaZe, just because they won so much, guaranteed themselves that much money already at champs, which is,
but do you think it's as interesting?
At least I think it's still really, really fun personally because you can still have the potential for some insane losers bracket runs, and then it still guarantees that you're going to have the most popular, best, exciting teams playing in the winners finals or the grand finals. So I'm down for it. I don't mind it that much at all, but I can see it from like a team's perspective of like, yo, we played the same season as these guys, but we've had some roster changes. Now we're nasty, but we didn't have the long full season success that somebody else did. So like I can see from that perspective, but.
For me, I'm on the page of I think mostly attached where it's I do agree with obviously with the buying the league there needs to be some sort of official league where some teams don't make it and then the top teams do get the advantage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I so badly want a March Madness style big bracket of all the teams and then 4 challengers team. I know logistically with the franchise, format is going to be tough, but I mean, there's got to be some way like that really is like what people could look forward to, brings everyone together. And plus like the storylines are just amazing. And I feel like we're missing so many storylines that
I agree.
Every year we don't.
There's a proponent of like, I would love to see the CDL take on some sort of like golf type format where like you have 5 majors that like are very unique and different from each other.
Mhm.
And even some of them have different formats or different things that make them very unique.
Yeah.
And like, for example, like if you had a big major where one was like a March Madness style tournament where you was single elimination, the top 64 teams in pro points all play against each other, seeded top pros all the way down. Could you imagine?
That'd be crazy.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
And again, you could have separate prize pools for all the whiny owners and like
Honestly, yeah.
let them have their own money, but the amateurs will
But
take
I
the
don't-
opportunities themselves.
I don't know if that's the owner's concern.
It is. At the end of the day, the money's the concern.
It is.
But are they getting the winnings? Some
Some teams are, some teams aren't.
Too.
But at the end of the day, like that matters though.
I think it matters more that like they don't want to look like a bad team. Like they don't want to
No,
look like
that
egg
doesn't
on the
matter.
face. This
See-
the whole game is about getting sponsorships.
You got to think though, like
Then they pick up that team to beat you. Like,
yeah, like they're paying 25 mil, and if they're seeing that amateurs are stealing some of their prize money, it's
right.
like
Then why didn't I decide an AM team?
exactly?
You know, so like that's the thing. At the end
They're
of the
gonna
day,
be
you have to have
pissed.
separate prize pools. Just to encourage new teams to join the CDL. You need to have that gate. But besides that, I think at the end of the day, like that's what gets me really excited is the potential for stuff like that. And then like maybe one tournament's more of like then you have a World Cup tournament, and it's the nationality situation, and then you have different types of tournaments. Like I could see it like working in that sense where every single major is very different and very unique. And then at some point during the year, you have the attached thing where you have the playoffs, and that's where you do your league play stuff. And then that turns into a playoff bracket. And then you have champs where you have all 12 teams there. Like I just think like keeping different style formatted tournaments for different parts of the year could be really fun and like create for like a really cool environment throughout each year and make it unique and feel different.
Yeah. So would you get rid of regular season games?
Yes.
So you just do events?
No. I'd have, it'd be like the old playoff style where like once or twice a year you have a season. Like what happened with MLGs, or they'd have 2 seasons, and that would be how it would work, you know, and it's separated by events. I think that I found for that type of format's really fun, and then you throw in some more interesting, different types of styles of tournaments to keep it fresh and interesting.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Okay,
but again, that's
Next
a conversation, right? Otherwise, we could be here all day and go from there. So, what else you got for us, Rex?
So only 3 teams have won 3 events in a row in the history of COD.
Yeah, man.
Farrico,
Frico.
Verico, what was in that? Black Ops 2?
Yeah, BO2.
Complexity, Black Ops 2 and Ghost, and then Optic Dynasty also did it as well.
Yeah, man. Can FaZe do it?
Yep.
That's the
FaZe
question.
Is the next up. If they win this next Stage 5 major, they'll have a 3-peat.
Yeah,
and
man.
we'll have 4 teams. Will they do it?
That is weird to think. When you think of like winning 3 events in a row, it's like, oh, it doesn't seem like
that crazy.
But then it's like, wait, Rico, Complexity, and Optic Dynasty. That's like the dynasties we talk about, and now FaZe has a chance to do it. Is FaZe the next dynasty? It's like, what?
Yeah.
If they win it, I mean, you can't say no to that.
I mean, if you guys didn't have a chance to check out like my conversation with RCs, I mean, he was very much emphasizing the importance of being a dynasty. I mean, that was mentioned multiple times throughout my talk with him. Like FaZe is trying to be a dynasty here. And like he even said, like, yeah, we see a lot of the talk on Reddit and on Twitter, and like we want to be a dynasty. And I'm like, dang, this is some bold moves.
Cool. That's cool to see. Like that's driving them, and that's probably why they're just so dominant. Like, they want to cement themselves in COD history.
Yeah, I think it also helps. Like Celium hasn't won like a champs, like like he hasn't had that yet.
Yeah.
So like seeing that for him, this is kind of his really getting that in his pocket too, because the other 3 guys have won champs.
Yeah.
So that's something too. It'll be really, really interesting to see what happens moving forward. But yeah, that's crazy. We're looking forward. Obviously, we'll talk a lot more about that the next few weeks, but keep something to keep in mind.
So Zed had a tweet, a cryptic tweet.
Yes.
It says, some big decisions to make. What does this mean? Zed making it back on a team? Paul X says, don't mess it up, Zach. Decimate says, make them then.
Again, the question is Zed getting picked up for Alex, or is that swap happening here? And
it's got to. It's got.
You think it's
back
going to?
on to London again? I think it should too. Zed was too good for that team. He was great.
Yeah, I mean that's what gets tough. It's hard to kind of see either way. Like, what could that look like? at the end, like realistically, you've got to try something new. I mean, again, it's the Hail Mary plays, and Alex just didn't look like that was going to be the answer. And so when you're thinking about it from London's perspective, and we saw Zed look at least pretty solid throughout the year, I would recommend trying out Zed again.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I know I say it all the time, but like Zed was the original catalyst for this team.
Yep.
And he really was like consistent.
Yep.
So I don't know. And I know with Alex, it was kind of a weird situation where he was promised his spot still after, whatever happened. But man, I feel like that London squad had a chance to actually grow into something, and then they just kind of tore it all away. And so Zed needs to be back on this team. And I wish Zap didn't have to leave either, but
right. I mean, like the loss to Seattle wasn't great. I mean, like you watch it, you're not inspired by this team. I mean, again, like what we talked about before, like the potential of like Afro and what that looked like, and the potential that Afro had was there, but I'm just not convinced. At the end of the day, that could possibly be the case. So we'll see. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I overall odds on, what do you think? Do you think it's going to happen? Like, do you think Zed gets subbed in? Yes or no?
Yes.
I think yes. I think yes. I think he'll take the deal.
Man, I
don't know. I feel like he's a name that like he should take the deal. And if he's as good as he was, like people know the situation he's thrown into. They know how well he made that team when he was there. Then when he left that team, the team was looking kind of rocky. If he goes back and the team looks more solid again, it's like, well, clearly Zed is making this bad team look better.
Right. The irony of it though is that if you win the European champ, if you win European champs, like suddenly your stock might be higher than it was if you were playing on London for the last event of the year, like
maybe. I mean, it depends also how long the contract's for too.
Yeah, exactly. So there are those decisions for sure. So we'll see.
He might want to be on a better team.
Yeah. We'll freaking see. So, I mean, COD 2021, Rex, thoughts? What do we got going on here?
So World War II Vanguard, I think at this point is pretty confident that's what the next game is going to be. From what I saw, Tom Henderson, he's like this infamous, hacker guy, leaker guy, basically said that it's kind of going to be a World War II remake.
Yeah, they've been going back and forth. Like it's weird because the intel is like, yes, it's going to be a remake or something along those lines, but it's just a little bit interesting because I'm just not sure exactly. There was what was that tweet that said it was going to be Speedline, or what was the
split stream, right?
Split stream?
Slipstream?
Slipstream. There we go. We got there. Yeah. That the code name in battle in BattleNet was Splitstream.
Slipstream.
That's what I said.
Split stream.
Yeah.
Split
stream. That's a question mark, and what that could mean. And that key name makes it sound more like it's a not World War II-y, but the font and the logo that they showed there in the leak was pretty World War II-y. So I'm pleasantly optimistic with Sledgehammer. Obviously, with the competitive support they showed during World War II was great, but that was when Rambo was there, and that he's gone now. So I don't know how that competitive team's looking like now. Hopefully they learned a few things with Rambo there in World War II and can apply it to their new game. But like, where are you kind of like gauge your interest, your worries, your hopes, your dreams? Do you think this is coming out this fall? Like, do you think it's actually coming out in November, like normal, or October?
I think it is. They still want to stick to a schedule. I know Warzone is still going to be their poster child. But
yeah, that's the question mark, is what does that look like for Warzone?
I know there's so many.
They say they're going to be adding. There is going to be a Warzone like World War II type map,
similar to what happened with Cold War. I'd imagine. Like it came out
they
like
said
5 months later. It was
going to be at launch with the game.
Yeah, no way.
But now the leak, like Tom Anderson's like, then now it looks like it might be there, and it's going to be more war. Like COD is turning into a Warzone focused thing. Personally, with the World War II thing, I'm just not a fan of games that are set in history. Yeah. Cold War was the latest, like the earliest in history I ever want to go back and Call of Duty.
I mean, I loved CoD World War II basically the whole year. I really enjoyed it. And so at the end of the day, if we have a good rank play system, I'll freaking love the game. Like if we have a great league play system, I will love the game. I don't care how whatever else is in the game. I'm going to love it. So it really comes down to that for me. And then the rumor was that London Docks was coming back, or at least a remake of London Docks with the same format. Yeah. So great map. I'll take it for sure. We can see some more attached running through artilleries, but I'm still on the side that this could be a time travel game where it's like an alternate history type situation.
Oh, and
I hope so. And that's how they'll justify like
that would be so cool.
New technologies and stuff.
I hope so.
That would be ideal. And COD has never tried it, and I keep trying to make it happen, but we'll see.
One thing to know is that Sledgehammer has been a team that's willing to innovate.
But I mean, if in the video risks. He said that Sledgehammer is known for doing that, but doesn't look like that's how it's going to be for this game. I mean, he specifically said it's kind of going to be like a Cold War 2.0.
With AW, obviously, the first jetpack game, all that. World War II, they had the headquarters, they had the different game modes, the ranked, and so it's like that was cool, like to have like this like social
the shooting range and
social event where it's like, wow, that was actually a pretty cool idea.
For sure,
just got tanked.
Yeah.
Nuked.
Exactly. So I am optimistic. I will always be optimistic about every Call of Duty just because I love ranked. I love competitive Call of Duty, of course. So hopefully we can, as a community, gather around and make it good. But man, it stinks.
I know. Just hearing that there might only be 8 maps on launch again is like another like, bro, how does this keep happening?
Well, wasn't the whole story is that like they were deciding between doing Infinity Ward or Sledgehammer again? And Sledgehammer came up with like this last minute sort of thing. And now they're going with the last minute sort of thing, which to me is a red flag.
Oh, it's a huge red flag. So, I mean, that was the original report, was that it wasn't sure if Sledgehammer or Infinity Ward was going to be making this game.
Like a race to it.
Like, oh no. So those
like
are
the
the
fact
worries.
that they don't know who it was going to be, it just like blows my mind.
Right. So there are some like hesitant worries there. I think every fan has to be at least like a little bit like, okay, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen here. Considering both Halo and Battlefield come out in November as well. So there's going to be some stiff competition for people's attention.
Oh, the hype for Halo and Battlefield is way higher.
Yeah, well, to be fair, there hasn't been one trailer or one announcement or even an official title reveal of the new COD. So it's like, I mean, it's definitely going to be higher at this point for sure. But
all right,
it just depends what we end up seeing for COD, obviously. So
I guess that's kind
of the conversation.
But with no innovations, and unless if they find a way, I truly believe at some point COD will find its way back to Uplink. Uplink was too good of a game mode. This is my spiel about Uplink. It's just too good. It could be its own competitive thing in general. It's just people play Uplink.
Yeah. One day Rex will get Uplink back.
It has to come back.
Rex, the day that Uplink comes back, is your shirt coming off on the pod?
Sure.
Sure.
Like pubs, like we're just better. You could play pubs Uplink. Like that's fun.
Not fun. It's actually insane. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely talk more about that in the future as well. So any other thoughts there with the news? Sensor joined Pioneers GG, which was interesting. A little surprise to be sure.
But a welcome one.
I guess. We have a clip of him on a jet ski. Yeah, Sensor and Pioneer GG. All right. Interesting. Surprise to be sure. And then there was the World Series of Warzone event this week, obviously. And that was the event that a lot of the COD pros were playing in as well. And luckily, none of the COD pros won. Because I would have been worried if any of the COD pros won it. Formal and Scump and Karma actually had a chance for a little bit there. Yeah. I watched a little bit. I watched maybe like the 20, 30 minutes of it. And they were playing pretty well early on, but then they had some tough stretches of unluckiness.
Yeah.
Like almost like as if it's a battle royale. I don't know. It was a fun event as a whole. I'll be interested to see like what happens else with the World Series of Warzone moving forward, like into the off season, and what pros end up like kind of how they treat Warzone, like especially after champs. Like if there's these 100K tournaments, like why wouldn't they play them? Maybe they're just done with COD. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with Warzone heading into the offseason. So yeah, other news there, Rex. What else do we got here?
So groups came out.
Yes.
As most of you probably saw, Group A group was FaZe, Chicago, Subliners, Thieves, Legion, and Ravens. Group B, Empire, Ultra, Rocker, Mutineers, Gorillas, and Surge. Which one do we think is the stronger group?
I saw a lot of comments about people talking about how nice the color organization was on these groups. That we had all the soft light colors on Group A and all the darker colors on Group B.
That was fun.
And people were really hyped about that. But I mean, my first initial instinct was that Group A is a little bit tougher, just because you have that solidified third team there in Optic as kind of like the legit third. And then in Group B, you're like, well, we think Florida's insanely good, but are they? And what are the Rocker like now? Surge. So Group A is definitely the tougher group. Definitely.
FaZe would have picked Ultra. Empire would have picked Optic right away.
Get him over there.
Interesting.
Crim don't want to play formal, man.
I know. But yeah, I mean, depending on what you think of Rocker and Mutineers, and in Group B, Group A does seem to be maybe tougher slightly.
Maybe but they got Legion and Ravens on those last two spots.
That
where
is
we
true.
have Surge and Gorillas on B, which Surge looks like they're on a pretty heavy upswing. Gorillas, as we know, is just always just a wall.
Well, yeah, with mental now, who knows? Yeah. I mean, they could be awful, or they
Group
could
A
be.
seems to be top heavy, while Group B has like a lot of contenders in it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and the LA Thieves is a big wild card, obviously, too. But
so Group A just seems top heavy. Group B seems more kind of balanced.
I mean, that's gonna be a battle for the third seed there. Like, you want to start in that winner side, you got to get that top three. So like the Rocker, Mutineers, LAG, Surge are all fighting for that third spot. So obviously, I think we'd all say Florida's probably the best team out of those four, but we'll see what the Rocker can do. That's gonna be really fun. So obviously, we talk a lot more about the groups though heading into next week, which is where we're gonna be spending all of our time talking about the matchups. So, but definitely got to keep your eye on it for sure. So, what else you got for us, Rex?
Challengers news: pro attitudes in the message situation.
We did already kind of talk about that.
Kind of already talked about this. Methods kind of overslept, missed his Elite Series. Censor Squad beat them. Mox had a comment on Reddit. Let me just
he was basically just talking about like how many good players there are in the Challenger scene, and that there's so many guys that deserve to be on a pro team, and so many guys that could be a contributing player on a good pro team. But yeah. It's an insane grind in the AM scene. I mean, there's so many host issues and screwing people over on other people's hosts, and all those types of things that make the AM scene so tough to deal with. And Chance was talking about the struggles of just being in the AM scene and dealing with all that right now. Obviously, it's tough for like a guy like Chance.
Yeah, so. and I guess it was in response to a post where the guy was talking about a lot of pros drop down to challengers, and they all think that they're just going to start frying because of challengers, but then none of them ever really.
They don't take over.
They haven't been so successful.
Yeah, they can be competitive, but they haven't been like dominant. Like we haven't seen any of the pros. Right, we haven't seen any of the pros drop down. Like they're not just dropping 45, 50 kills a map, which is, I'm sure, what some of the pros thought was going to happen when they dropped down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It just speaks to the level of competitiveness that is out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And that's what Mox was talking about in his post. I thought it was a really good post as a whole. I've always liked Chance. I think he comes off as a really like genuine player.
Yeah.
But really good.
The flank, maybe you want to take this one, Josh, because I don't know who this is, but Teej calls JCap Chip Kelly.
I actually too had to ask Josh about this.
Oh,
me and Rex
it's so sad.
Me and Rex aren't the biggest sports fans.
No, I just thought it was hilarious because on the flank, Teej said we have a Chip Kelly in the CoD League, and again, Chip Kelly is kind of like a coach that everybody made fun of for the Eagles, and JCap's a big Eagles fan, and that's why Teej was like, "Yo, we got Chip Kelly on our hands here," and he was made.
Chip Kelly
was made fun of for being an awful coach and making horrible decisions and having horrible strategy.
Got it.
Yeah.
All around a brilliant roast.
It was great. It was really good. So I was dying when he said that. But yeah. So I mean, again, the only other thing would have been like the Kenny situation. We already kind of talked about that where he called that out. So I think that basically wraps it up for the news of the week this week, boys. Things you love to see.
a lot of good content.
A lot of really good content, which actually took a while to get through. I mean, that was a hefty, beefy news of the week.
We
was a
always
beefy
take a long
meatball.
time sometimes.
It was a beefy boy. But with that said, we can talk about who are the best players in the game.
Oh, baby.
Without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty, so the best in the game, the top 5 players at every single position. So how we're gonna go, pretty straightforward. Again, SMGs, flexes, main ARs. Obviously right now the meta's a little bit weird in CDL, so you've got 2 ARs right now, but we'll play with it. Obviously still some teams have actual flexes, like on Garrison, they'll use the SMGs once in a while and things like that. So again, top 5 at every single position. So Rex, which one do you want to start with? Where do you want to go from here?
I want to start with, let's probably start with the easier one, in my opinion, is the top 5 subs.
Okay. Alrighty. So I think we're just gonna go. We have a little sheet here, which you guys can see right here. And we're just gonna kind of type them out, show them up here. We have 7 spots available, but we might be listing. Do you want to do 7 SMGs? Because there's just so many SMGs to go around versus like flexes or ARs right now. So let's just do our top 7 SMGs then, and go from there. So if we can start at the bottom, that'd be great. We're gonna have quite a bit of debate, I think, in here about discussions about certain players, what that could look like. So feel free to fire away with your opinion. So Rex, who do you have at number 7?
Okay, so with number 7, I probably am going to be using Kleenex.
Whoa!
I think
Really?
at number 7, part of me wants me to put him a little higher. But yeah, I'm okay with Kleenex at number 7. Provides a lot of value for his team in the slaying category. He's my number 7 spot.
I'm surprised. Do you want to reveal where we have those guys when someone reveals a player? Like if it's a new player that we haven't talked about yet, do we want to now should I talk about Kleenex?
That's actually a
Okay.
good idea.
I have Kleenex at 5. And I think Kleenex is an insanely dynamic player. And I really, really like him a lot. He brings so much to that Toronto team. I thought about putting him higher, but there's just some really, really impressive competition at the top of this list that's kind of hard to beat. But Kleenex is nasty and one of the best players in the league. There were some tough debates here between 6, 7, and 5 for me about those 3 or 4 guys that were like really tough. Not to mention some of the other guys on this list that you could definitely throw in here. So I'll be interested to see what some of your like honorable mentions are. But Sam, where do you have him?
I have Kleenex at 6.
Oh, so we're all across the board here.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I feel good about Kleenex at 7, but I'm at least he's in the conversation.
The one thing for me that maybe not having him as high as others, Toronto Ultra, I see as a team that's honestly pretty balanced, but Insight being that force and like having his AR kind of lead the presence. I see him as being the more dominant force for Ultra than say the sub duo.
Insight's the most impactful player on that team.
Interesting, because I think Cammy, it started off as Insight being the most impactful player. I 100% agree with that, like in stage 2 and at the beginning of stage 3. But at least from my perspective, at the end of stage 3 into stage 4, Cammy became kind of like that playmaker, the guy that clutched up the ice, the big time play when they needed it, the streaks when they needed it. And so I still think that Kleenex has a lot and brings so many clutch plays, especially like in those mixy situations inside of mid, playing for like S&D and First Bloods. I really like Kleenex a lot. That's why he's at my 5 spot. But okay, then Rex, if you have him at 7, or you have him at 7, you said? So who do you have at 6 then?
Let's have Sam go.
Oh, because Sam has a 7. Okay, well, yeah, I guess it could go either way there.
No,
so
I have Kleenex at 6. So do you want me to give my 7 player?
Sure.
Okay. My 7th player, I have Scump.
Oh, interesting.
I do.
Wow, that's actually a little bit higher than I thought.
Really?
I'm happy you say that, Sam.
I agree.
I have Scump at 6.
Whoa!
Wow.
We've been high on Scump around here.
I am high on Scump. I think that like despite the Optic team not being like as successful as what everybody, Optic fans would want and maybe the team would want, and they've had their struggles, I think Scump day in and day out has been playing his part and just he plays an amazing like support role on that squad. And I think he really adds a lot to that team.
Yeah.
And I think he could be a really good player for almost every team. So yeah, I have him at number 6.
Well, here's my thing too: is we clearly saw on land this 2 weeks ago, Gump can lead this team,
Yeah,
like
for sure,
and big plays. He still has the ice, I think, and so when he's doing that, Chicago should be doing well if his teammates are performing with him. But I was just I was shocked because I think I put Scump into like a mid lane tier where it's like, okay, he's still good, but like he's not like
take over the game good.
Gonna take over the game. But multiple times we saw him do that. Just that like I feel like I remember like a checkmate control or hardpoint.
Yeah, the elite slang.
I mean, he was just crazy. And so I don't think he's as elite as my 1 through 5, but Scump is by far still
I mean, in S&D, he's been
player.
very, very good. I think that's really where you have to highlight him is in the search and destroy.
Like from an organization, like I don't know how to like describe like in game, just like being like this, he makes the smart plays. Like it's not like he has to go out and get every single kill on the map. Like he can do that, but he also will play the hill. He plays smart, like plays his trades. I feel like he's just a really good like supportive player in that way.
Definitely.
And I think so it makes him like, that's why he's up there and he can consistently hold what he needs to be holding.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of comes from the conversation then as well as we're like, I'd imagine that means neither of you have Envoy inside the top 5 right now.
Envoy I'm down on. Maybe I'm down too hard on him, but he just has not impressed me pretty much all season.
I would say this last stage in it, like since the middle of stage 3 has been a pretty big struggle for Envoy, like finding that like right rhythm and
I feel like Envoy makes bad plays
and
like,
pace on the map.
Sure, he can get kills, but he just goes rogue. It feels like sometimes.
Yeah,
and like maybe that's his job to go rogue, but it's not. It doesn't feel like he's always very successful at that.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes it works, and it's like wow, I can't believe that happened. Envoy did such amazing things, but it's like how many times does that actually happen?
To me, it's the S&D performance too. Like you look back,
hasn't been taking over maps like you think you would be.
Like you look back at Modern Warfare, and Envoy was the one that was getting like 1v3s, aces, and just incredible plays. And like now it's been like more average, playing. Which again, it's not bad, but
right. Scump's been the playmaker in
exactly.
S&D. Yeah,
because Scump plays smart. He doesn't
switch.
Throw his life away. I feel like Envoy he'll throw his life away sometimes, and like. If it works, it does amazing things for the team. But when it doesn't, it's just costing.
If someone had told me, like, is there one player in your head that like has struggled to figure out how to adapt to 4v4? I would say it's Envoy.
Yeah,
he does get caught kind of like on his own just too often. Like again, you can still make those like lone wolf plays, and it can work inside search and destroy. But then if it happens too often, then that's when you get into trouble. And I think that's kind of where Envoy's at right now, especially inside of certain respawn moments or on rotations or in like 2v2s in S&D where he might get isolated a little bit too often and not play with the squad enough. So those are kind of my little bit, those. And again, it's not consistent or like, it's not like happening all the time, these bad plays, but it happens once in a while.
It happens enough.
And when you're playing for a championship, you can't let it happen like that. So I had Envoy at 7, Scump at 8, and Standy at 9. So that was kind of like where those 3 came in there. They were all like back to back. Again, Envoy and Scump, I think in my head are really, really close where I guess I'm still playing on like I know Envoy can be incredibly good.
Yes.
I have no problem with somebody putting Scump over Envoy right now, just because of the most recent last few weeks' performances. But like if I was building a squad, I would still take Envoy over Scump. And that's kind of like my perspective here. So if I'm building a squad to win stage 5, I think I'd still rather have Envoy on it.
I don't know if I would. I mean, I like what you take, but I don't know if I would.
So again, my opinions are always coming from if I'm building a squad to win stage 5, which player would I rather have? That's kind of my debate here. So at number 6, I have a guy who I assume you guys will have at 5 then, which is Asem at number 6.
I got Asem at number 5.
Okay, that makes sense. Sam?
5.
Okay, that makes sense. Obviously a playmaker, great around the map. I still would definitely rather have CleanX over him than him right now. I think there's a little bit of a tier break between CleanX and Asem. To be fair, we haven't seen an Asem in Dallas. there
We
has
haven't seen him
been
on LAN.
right. There's been some some tough situations that he's had to go through to play this year. So could ASIM even get to another level? Yes, but we've seen it consistently from CleanX now online, on LAN, playing very, very well. So that's why I'd rather have CleanX over ASIM at the end of the day. And ASIM's kind of taken a more of like the support role since Hydra came into the squad.
A support, but he also slays role.
I agree.
Like,
but I'd rather have more of the main Slayer prototype in CleanX if I'm going toe to toe here. So that's kind of why I have CleanX at 5.
But man, ASIM I think's got more of a brain.
Give me the pitch. Give me the pitch. I want to hear it.
I mean, Rex picking the subliners, guys. Blah blah
Classic,
blah.
dude. Classic.
But it's true. Like you could just by watching the major without ASIM there, the amount of impact I think he brings to that subliner squad is something that is unique. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
They need him. You could fill him in with pretty much anyone, and I don't think that subliner squad will be as good. Like, they need ASIM on that squad. People
were very surprised how high we were on New York, by the way.
I know they were.
The whole comment section was roasting us.
Dude, they like the major just happens without ASIM there, and like they don't do well. Like, of course they don't do well, but you have to imagine New York with ASIM.
Yeah, that's
I don't know. And then they lost to Toronto or whatever, but like it was one loss.
That was the side was the 3-0 loss to Toronto with ASIM in the lineup.
That was the biggest comeback, was New York fully stacked did lose 3-0 to
Toronto.
Ultra.
I mean, again, and my counter is I don't like making excuses for teams, but at the same time, at that point they knew that ASIM wasn't going to make it to the LAN, and when you know that you're not gonna, whatever you do in this match doesn't matter to you moving forward, like I would imagine that affects your performance as a team, because I know that would affect my performance if I was on a team that had that situation. So that's kind of where I was coming from. And I think we can all see the potential of like a newly energized New York team moving forward again. But it's really close between them and Toronto. I mean, like it's not like we don't
Ultra could be easily number 2.
It's not like we don't like Toronto.
Like I'm not against that.
We all think
idea.
Toronto could win champs. Like it's not that crazy.
And the thing is too is like I think people were like thinking like 2, 3, and 4 were such like big like jumps apart.
No, they
were like hairs. Like when we did that, like that's like they're like almost on the same level. It's just like barely like, and yeah. So
those were the debates. Anyway, we're gonna get sidetracked.
Fuck you guys. I'm going home.
Well, there goes our monetization. But
there goes 0.
All right, Rex, lead us away with that BDE right there. What's that? Who do you have at number 4 with the SMGs?
Number 4, riding on the train. Choo choo. I'm choosing Hydra.
Yep.
Hydra is in my number 4 spot.
Same. I think we're gonna have the same top 4 here.
Rex, we're way too similar, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have the debate between Shotzi and Hydra, but I think Shotzi just has that little bit more, I don't know, smartness, and Shotzi is just, he's slick as ice, slick as butter on a tart.
On an ice rink.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have the
Hydra
same top 4
still has
here.
some growth to make. Hydra could easily make it past, I think, Shotzi, but he's just not there yet.
No, it's not that Hydra is gonna get past Shotzi. It's that Shotzi's just been so freaking good that he has to be in the top 3. And I'd imagine we all have the exact same 4. It's Hydra, Shotzi, a BZ, Simp. Unless Rex has a BZ over Simp.
No.
Okay. And again, I can see people having a BZ over Simp. It's not like that's a crazy take. They both bring so much to Atlanta FaZe. It's like not even, we've all talked about this so much at this point. It's like not even like worth talking about, because we've talked about those two so much this year. But the debate would be between Shotzi and Hydra. But like, I mean, I just did that learn from the pros with Shotzi, and like his S&D improvement heading, like what we saw with him playing in stage 4 was elite S&D. About as good of S&D as we've seen any player play the whole year. And when
I don't know what process he went through to like learn like that.
He was getting bodied at the beginning of the year. Stage 1 and like into stage 2, he was really struggling in S&D, and he literally put on debatably one of the best S&D performances of a weekend we've seen the whole season.
Yeah, I want to know like how he gets better as a player, because like how does he has the best movement in the game,
right?
Better than Simp, better than Abizi by a lot, honestly. Like it's unreal how good he is at moving.
Yeah. And his little like small jumps he does into slides is like, how does this even happen?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think it'll
It's
come
like
in.
you can't replicate Shotzi. Like you can get to a point where you can replicate Simp and Abizi like type movement. Like it's hard and it's amazing. But Shotzi just has this something different about him. It's just like you can't even mimic it. Like it's
literally
him.
like every move is planned 10 moves in advance. And so like it's like he's planning so many moves in advance so that it makes it even smoother for the movement to happen. Like it's crazy.
He's a figure skater.
Yeah.
Like
he is.
He could put on a show of just him running around the map and people would watch.
Yeah, he would.
I think the improvement from him comes in his challenges. Like there's certain challenges and gunfights he'll lose. Just I think it kind of has to do with his movement. Like he'll go too far sometimes with his movement.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I think
He learns from the mistakes just really, really
I
well.
respect that, Sam.
yeah.
Could Shotzi be won by the end of the year?
He
Yes.
could. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
From what we saw that stage, again, like that was insane. I was mind blown by the difference in Shotzi from that stage to what we had seen 2 months before that, a month before that. Like,
What did he tell himself to improve like that? That's what I want to know. Like,
I mean,
what was he
bro,
like? I got to work on this. It's like
Stage
and just
one-
identifying it and just doing
I don't know,
it. Like,
but day one on the major, I was literally like, yo, he walked out and I'm like, Shotzi's got a different energy right now. He's got a scary energy right now, like it's oozing. Like, and then he dominated that map, and I'm like, oh no!
Uh-oh.
And then suddenly Dallas goes on a run. So we'll see. But if we don't get through this, this episode will never end. So let's head on to the ARs.
Yeah,
ARs it is.
ARs it is. So we'll do a top 5 here. I think we can probably just do the top 5 for now then. So I'll probably black out the bottom 2 lines here and we'll go from there. Sam, start us off with your number 5 AR in the CDL. Who you got?
Each position was tough, but like 5, 6, 7 even was like, oh, goodness.
Yeah.
So number 5, I am going to go with Formal.
I was wondering what you were going to do there. I was really wondering.
I want to put him higher, but he almost didn't even make top 5.
Yeah. I think we're going to have the same top 4, but it depends on the order. I don't know what order we're going to have.
Order's going to be weird right here, but yeah.
So I think the 3 guys that we're all considering here at 5 would be Octane, Formal, and Crim for the 5th AR, I think.
I also have at number 5, I have Formal as well.
Wow.
Rex, we're too similar.
What in the world,
boys?
I know. I bet you have Octane.
Yes, I have Octane at 5. Yeah, I mean, that was predictable. It was between Octane, Crim, and Formal for my 5th spot here. And it was really, really close. I mean, we saw Octane literally dominate those 2 series. Yes, it was against London. Yes, it was against Paris. So, those are the kind of arguments that I've used to people who are like, Octane's a top 3 AR.
But it's that thing that comes down to like the individual player versus are they also a team player? Like Octane was like, quote unquote, the best AR last year, but on the worst team. And then it's sort of the same story again this year where it's like, well, can we call him the best AR? Like, yeah, he gets the KD, but is there more involved in that? There's more involved in being a top AR.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I'm still under the impression that if you put Octane on a team of 4 or 3 other very, very like elite players, like if you, let's say you put him on Optic or FaZe or Empire, like he's going to be insanely good. And I'm definitely in that camp and still believing in the individual talent of Octane. Does he understand Black Ops Cold War as well as the other 4 ARs ahead of him on my list? I don't think he does. And that's why he's at 5. And Crim and Formal are really, really close to my head. Obviously, they've gone back and forth. It's been very, very close in that regard. But Formal's had a little bit of, I would say Formal was in a slump.
Yeah, he was. Sure. 100%.
Again, I do generally take bigger perspectives on these things, and I don't like to overreact. I don't like to underreact in the short term. And so that's why it's a tough debate. I mean, how do you feel about Crim at this point? We saw the best Crim we've seen all year at the stage. Was he in consideration at all?
Yeah, Crim was definitely in consideration for me. Definitely. I think maybe he's just being outshined too much by everybody else on the team. I feel like maybe he's just not as glamorous, and maybe that's why I don't have him there. But yeah, I don't know. It's very close to me. It could be far more
I mean, again, the weekend was insanely impressive. The whole Dallas performance. Side note, we're seeing gameplay right here of Seattle v Optic from the major when this was a map where Envoy did take over. He did have 13 kills in this series or whatever it was. So, hey, just saying. But, yeah, I just have a lot of respect for Octane and how he plays the game. And when he's really feeling it, he is insane and one of the debatably a top 5 player in the game when he's feeling it. So that's why I have Octane at 5. Otherwise, we're spinning our wheels at this point. I guess I'll lead us off with 4 then.
Yeah.
At 4, I'm throwing Skies there. We might all 4 have Skies. We might all 3 have Skies at 4.
I have Skies as well.
Yes, Sam and Rex continue.
I'll be honest though. Honestly, this 4, 5, 6, 7 was kind of weird too because Kenny.
I want to hear it.
Kenny was in the conversation for me too.
But
now technically
he's not
he's
a
a
main
flex
AR
again.
anymore. Yeah.
I know. So
Kenny would have been there for me if he was a main AR.
yeah. So I didn't know if we wanted to include that, but I thought I'd throw it out there that Kenny was an incredible main
As
AR.
of main AR until a week ago.
Yes.
Technically.
So, but,
Even though nothing's really changed
but
for him.
as of right now, yes, Skies.
Right, and these are the weird conversations where it's at the end of the day, there's certain teams that just have two main ARs where Dashy literally does not use an SMG ever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I wanted to put Dashy on my list, but
so you could see the
flex.
argument where someone could say well, Dashy's also an AR. Obviously.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the weird thing. He's technically in the flex category.
The flash roll.
And go from there. So we all have Skies at 4.
Yep.
And I have a lot of respect for how Skies plays this game. And I think we've seen an insanely consistent year from him as an individual for the most part, really across all 3 game modes. The debate is obviously the counter argument is that Florida hasn't won anything, quote unquote. They've only had one big win all year, and it was against Toronto, and it's only that good win they've had. And those are the comments that you get a lot when I have Skies inside the A tier in my tier rankings videos.
Mm-hmm.
But thoughts on Skies, boys?
Yeah, I think Skies is for sure on this Florida team. He doesn't get he's not in the spotlight, right? It's for sure Awakening, and then they're always looking at the subs and how they're. How are you going to try to
fried or whatever?
Exactly. And there's always the conversation of how you're going to get the subs to perform better. And Skies is just kind of there. But you look at him play and you see his stats and you see he'll have these crazy plays, these 1v whatever it is, and he's always there. So I have no problem putting him 4 right now because I think he's one of the main reasons why Florida has the ability to beat these teams while they're having the subs figured out. But
yeah,
that was kind of my reasoning going into 4.
100%. I might have to change my sub list. I totally spaced on Neptune, and I feel like that's a conversation that should have happened.
For top 7?
Really?
Yeah. I'm surprised you don't have Neptune above Envoy.
Really? There was other guys. I didn't even mention some of the other honorable mentions like Standy or Huke or Illy or Vivid or Attach or Bance that
Neptune's
you could
better
throw
than,
out there.
I think all those guys, but
wow, high.
I
turnaround.
guess that could be somewhat of a recency bias with him. I'd have to watch him, play again to see whether
that's the thing.
smarts are there, because that's my big concern with Neptune is just how smart
the flash
he plays.
is there.
The flash is there, but is he smart? And we saw that he can be.
Oh yeah, he's made some nice plays in S&D lately, but
recently. So it's I guess maybe that's why he didn't make it to that sub list, just because it's so recent that you maybe don't take that into account quite yet. I don't know. It's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah.
But anyways, I got Skies in the same
we're
place.
talking with
same
ARs,
reason.
so
yeah, we are talking about the ARs. So I agree with you there. Again, Skies, I just love the playmaking, and there's still a lot of potential for Skies to make an insane impact heading into stage 5 and into the champs. So I just really like him as a unit. So now
let's get down to business. Number 3.
Rex, do you have Clay or Insight at 3?
Number 3 is Clayster for me.
Okay. And we all agree again, don't we?
Do you all have Clay there?
Sam?
Yeah.
Why'd you answer that
Sam,
weird?
was Clay on your list originally?
Yes. No,
Better
for
have
sure.
been. All right, cool.
I'm curious though about this number 1 conversation.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Are we?
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Obviously, Clayster brings a lot of impact to the squad. Leader, He built the ground up, and he also has been slaying out like a madman.
Yeah,
Like
he's been
does his
really
job.
solid.
It's been nice. He teaches the whole team,
Right.
and the team's a top 3 team.
At the end of the day, the X factor for me is that he hasn't shown the ability to take over games like the other two.
Yeah.
Left, which is, of course, Insight and Arcades, depending on which one we have them at, 2 or 1. So let's reveal all of those. So, Rex, who do you have at 2 and 1?
Arcades I have at number 2.
Wow.
Insight I have at number 1. The
Sam?
only reason is that, well, I'll wait for you guys to go.
I thought I'd be the only one to do that.
Really?
Oh.
I'm surprised.
Are you?
I'm surprised because, I mean, Insight's been good lately, but not like dominant lately. And I think we've seen consistent improvement from Arcades on the year where Insight, again, other guys on the team have stepped up. So I would go Insight to Arcades 1. And I want to hear you guys' opinions there. So this is what the list we got right now for everybody out there. Rex, what do you got?
So, I mean, we're going to be in disagreement, I think, about this, but I think Arcades is outshined by the rest of his teammates.
Well, I mean, is that his
and
fault?
I think, no, it's not. Like, it's great to be in that position. I think Insight has more of an impact on his team than maybe Arcades does.
I just don't agree.
Has on the FaZe squad.
I think
you could put another
across
AR.
all 3 game modes.
I think you can put another AR on FaZe,
Toronto,
and FaZe
and they
would be
could
good
be
still.
just as good still.
Okay, stop.
But Toronto, if you take Insight away, they're not. It's different. It's different.
I'm such a douche.
Ultra won't be as good.
I just don't agree with that. I think Arcades is a key, and this is not just because he was just on the channel.
Really?
No, it's not. It's not. It's just not some fake bias.
You're telling me Simp, Abizi, and Celium couldn't win their series without?
They're the best team by far. They're not even like
exactly. So I'm just saying,
Arcades
could be
is also
number
that
one
good
if he's on another team. But the amount of impact Insight has on the Ultra squad is more than the impact.
If you're building
Arcades
a squad right
squad.
now, you're taking Insight over Arcades. No way.
I don't think it's a fair argument to make.
What do you mean?
I think in regards to the team and how good they are for the team, I think Insight is a key component of the Ultra. We saw that when they took Methods out, they put Insight in. They switched. Like, they got really, really, really good. Arcades, I think if you replaced Arcades, the team would still be really, really, really good. Where Ultra, we saw where they'd probably be a middle of the pack team without Insight.
What do you mean? They replaced Methods, who was like, what, the 9th or 10th best AR in the league, with the 2nd best AR in the league. I mean, yeah, they're going to have insane improvement. You know, I mean, like, Methods is still a very good player.
The amount of impact that each of these players provides, I think, tells a story.
I just don't agree. I mean, I think when we've seen Arcades literally take over game again lately, and with Insight, it's been Cammy or Kleenex, and Bance has had some insane plays too. Like, I just think that if we're talking that Arcades gets carried by his team,
Ultra
and
leveled up
Insight doesn't.
when Insight joined the squad.
Yeah, because Methods was like the 9th or 10th best AR in the league, and then you added the 2nd best AR in the league. That's going to level up a squad a lot. Sam, thoughts?
Well, I do share some of Rex's thoughts on his Insight's ability to take over a game.
I would rather have
First of all-
Arcades and S&D and Hardpoint. I'd probably rather have, I mean, Insight's been insane in control. Take it as what you will, but I'd definitely rather have Arcades instead of S&D and Hardpoint.
I can see my thoughts being kind of.
I'm just taking into account the impact the player has on the team.
But that's like a relative thing because it's like their own team. And yeah, when you have like
Arcades, because it could be a number 1 spot, but he has to be on a different team to even see something like that.
But we have literally seen him.
He's been surrounded by
dominate
gods
games.
the whole year. He's been surrounded by gods this whole season.
Insight.
So, like,
Cammy,
I don't
Cammy
think so.
and Kleenex are elite players.
So you're telling me you put Methods on the FaZe squad for Arcades. FaZe is not a top 2 team still?
I mean, what is your argument there? I mean, obviously, Simp, Abizi, and Celium are
I'm
3
saying
of the best players
Methods
of all
could play
time.
for FaZe, and FaZe would still be just as good. But Methods, as we already saw with Ultra, was not as good. The impact Insight has was
that's
huge
an unfair
level up.
scale. That's an unfair scale because
How's it an unfair
right
scale?
now, no. Because right now, FaZe is the most dominant team we may have ever seen in the history of Call of Duty right now, like this current stretch. So for the drop down that they would have bringing in Methods, yes, it would be more impactful. The drop in FaZe's performance would be more significant.
Like FaZe is amazing. I'm not going to take that away from them, but it's not like they're an unbeatable team. They're very hard to beat, but they can be beat.
As any team can get beat, sure, but but we've seen them, they haven't been getting beat, and they have not got beat in a series in 2 stages. Yeah, but that's not, but if you put Insight on FaZe, he would make them worse.
I don't know if that's true.
I agree, 100% guaranteed. Guaranteed.
I don't think that's true. Does FaZe still get number 1 with him?
Chemistry-wise?
Does
No.
FaZe still get number 1 with
No.
him? Okay, that doesn't make any sense, Josh.
That makes a lot of sense.
You're telling me your number 2 AR on the best FaZe squad still doesn't win the grand finals?
No, because that's how good Arceus is.
Arceus provides that much
no,
to
it's
FaZe?
chemistry. I'm trolling at this point. It's chemistry. Insight's in the perfect spot on the perfect team right now for him.
Yeah, impacts that team a lot.
But if I'm building a squad, there's a 0% chance I would rather have Clay than Insight if I'm building a squad, like literally. And so would you. So
Yeah,
you're
so would
fooling
I.
yourself here.
I'm not fooling myself. I don't think Arceus has the chance to prove that he is the number 1. I'm not saying Arceus is bad, but I'm
He
just
takes
saying he
over
has a
games.
lot of really, really great players behind him that can
How does
still
that hurt
win
How does
without
that
him.
make him worse than Insight?
Because Ultra doesn't look like they can win so much without him, without Insight.
But the whole squad improved over time too. Like they were on the fringe of being good, even with Methods, and they bring in a really good player who clicks with them. He's the European. The vibes are there. Everything works. Like it's not a dig on Methods. It is just the whole chemistry of the team clicked finally, and then that's what took him to the next level.
That was a good conversation though, because I'm sure we're gonna have some opinions in the comments.
I'll be excited to see it, people out there. Fire away. What are your thoughts? Sam, who do you have at 5 for your flexes?
Oh man. At number 5, I have Kenny.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
I have
Ooh,
Kenny as well, actually.
Oh my gosh.
I had Kenny at 6, so he just barely missed out on my top 5 there. Well, that's surprising. That means you don't have one of those guys. Wow.
Ooh.
Who don't you have?
One of those guys.
That's surprising. Okay, so I had Mac at 5. Did you not have Mac at? You don't have
I
Mac
don't
in the
have
top
Mac.
5 then?
No.
I have Mac at number 4.
Whoa! Wait, who do you not have? You're a dashy hater.
Definitely not a dash hater. I think Mac has shown that he can be really, really good, especially for this New York
Yo,
Sublime
Optic
squad.
fans, go for Rex's neck.
Now,
Wow.
go.
Attack. So I have Mac at 5.
Go.
I have Mac at 5, and I have who did I say I have at 4? I have Big Wake at 4. So those are my top 2 right there.
Oh man, we're gonna be.
Do you really have Wake at 4?
Yeah,
Wow.
You're crazy, bro.
Big
Have
Wake
you seen
at 4.
Awakening play, dude?
Lately, I haven't been as impressed. He was dominant in the first half of the year, like dominant. It's been slower. I've liked Skies more lately.
Yeah, but Wake's spark is still there, though. You know it's still there.
Yeah,
You could see it. You could see it in the gameplay.
yeah. But at the end of the day, if I'm building a squad, I have Dashy at 3, and that's why Dashy's there. So we got Mac, Big Wake, Dashy. Let's all reveal our top 3. We'll talk about those
where
3.
do you have Cammy at?
Exactly.
Okay.
The most important player on Toronto Ultra. So Sam, who do you have at 4 and 3? And then we can talk about those top 3.
I've got Gunless at number 4.
Whoa! Wait, Dashy's outside the top 5?
This is
Da-
gonna be the
Dash
most
is number 3.
interesting one here.
You don't have Big Wake in the top 5?
I do.
You don't have Cammy in the top 5?
Wait, I might have screwed something up here.
Because that means you have Big Wake, Cammy, and Cell.
Yeah, I screwed
Don't
something
put
up, boys.
Cammy in the top 5, Sam. Don't follow his peer
outrageous.
pressure.
Outrageous.
I
Cammy
screwed
doesn't
this
See ya,
have
up.
to
Kenny.
either.
Bye, Kenny.
I screwed this up.
I think
Big time.
Gunless is a little weird there, but
Yeah.
I
All right, yo,
respect it.
Rex, talk about your top 3 while Sam's editing his.
All right. So, anyways, yeah, I have Cammy at number 3. Josh is hyped up as hype piece do. Cammy has been super solid for a squad, making a lot of big plays. really can't knock what Cammy's been doing for the Ultra Squad.
Oh yeah, he's been so clutch, man. It's insane. I mean, you know,
You trust him. I trust him a lot,
Yeah,
honestly.
he's a playmaker.
1v1, Cammy's the guy.
yeah, I agree.
Sorry.
Sorry to Gunless. Are you apologizing to Gunless?
Yeah, I royally screwed up that list. I'm so sorry.
It's a shame. That's a shame. But okay. So Sam, you have Big Wake at 3,
I do.
Dashy at 4, Kenny at
Yes.
5.
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
Here's what it's looking like for all you folks out there on YouTube. So yeah. Okay. So then Sam, what are your thoughts on?
Well, if we're talking about Awakening, Awakening is my number 2 spot. I'm high on Awakening. Awakening is going to be one of the best players in the game.
Over
I think.
Cammy, really?
I do. Awakening.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Despite the team's performance, Awakening himself is just a different breed of human being. And
Then why? But then let's talk about then. If you think Neptune's incredibly good too, then what's going wrong with this Florida team?
it's like infrastructure, like just what they're strategizing as a team, working together as a team is not quite there.
I mean, I agree. Their team play is definitely lacking, especially in breaking hard points a lot of the time.
And I guess in this one, like the Awakening side of things, like I don't know what his comms are like. I don't, he could be not talking at all, and like that could be a big problem for the team. But just his sheer incredible gameplay is enough to sway me to put him in the top 2 because he's
so
really, really good and really, really smart.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's hard to argue though. Like when you put him up against Celium and Cammy, it's like Awakening's not like winning them games.
But he wins, like he almost does though. He almost does it by himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's the power of Awakening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
Somebody else has had to
at
perform and like
points,
they win.
obviously Flora's in a tough spot because they haven't been taking it over. Like it hasn't been working for them in a lot of ways. It just lately where, again, against Toronto, they looked really good in that one series, but they haven't been able to put it together consistently. And I agree that it does. We talked about this before, but again, it does come to some of their playing as a unit and how they play together in the thick of battle in the craziest moments, and their communication and their teamwork when the pressure's on, and that collapses a lot of the times for them.
That's
and
the only
maybe
fault
that's some
I
of their
have with
inexperiences. I mean, Neptune, a Big Wake, and even Skies. I mean, he's been around since middle in the pros since middle of BO4, but still a younger player, and so I think that contribute to some of that. But that's just why I just trust Cammy a little bit more right now when it comes to like getting the dub and getting the win and clutching with your team. And we've seen, and Cammy was even playing and making those types of plays even before Insight got there. So I really just do think on an individual level, Cammy is really, really good. So that's why he's at 2 for me. We obviously all are going to have the same number 1 here. So I guess we may as well just reveal it at this point. We all have Celium at 1, obviously.
Yeah.
With how good he's been, the player of stage 4. So
He's a nice man.
what are your guys' biggest surprises here? Dashy, not on Rex's list. Obviously, Rex, defend this a little bit. Talk about Dashy v. Kenny, Dashy v. Mac.
With Dashy, I mean, I wanted to put him, he was going to be my 5th spot for ARs. But when it comes to flexes, I just see these players providing more for their teams than what, I don't know, Dashy's been able to show.
Again, it does come down to how you're ranking these guys. Like on an individual basis, I still really, really like Dashy as a player.
Oh,
Again, there's just bigger
It just
structural
seems
play
so
pieces and strategy
individualistic
to
from
optic.
him.
I don't think so. I think he really does play well off a team. I mean, does he like make every sacrificial play? Probably not. But like, again, on an individual basis, if you're trying to build a team, Dashy can be on a championship team. That's for sure. He has the individual talent to do that, gun skill wise, movement. His comms aren't like elite by any means, but he's still a very solid communicator. And he definitely has about as good of awareness, spatial awareness, and playing with your teammates as anybody in the CDL. So that's why I have Dashy ahead of Big Wake. I just trust him a little bit more in those big moments too. And that kind of comes to play and was an X factor for me.
You're crazy. I trust Awakening in pretty much every big moment.
I mean,
if I'm going to have a 1v1 in S&D in grand finals, I pretty much want Awakening there.
I mean, that's fair. I can see that. I'm very high on Awakening. Don't get me wrong. All of these players were in my A tier. Mac ended up being in my A tier as well. So all these guys were like in my top 14 players in out of it all. So Sam, what are your thoughts right there with Ken EV Dashy?
Ken EV Dashy. I could see Dashy
and Big Wake, because you have Wake above Dashy as well.
I can see Dashy being up there, but there's still times, man. Kind of like how you're saying, like with the organization of the team, there just seems to be times where he is out of place at times, or like he won't get a certain kill that he should. But it's hard to deny Dashy, like when he's popping off, he's popping off.
He's about as dominant as it gets.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And so maybe for me, Awakening's more of the consistent, more the consistent performance, or more of the consistent being in the right place where he should be. But I wouldn't say like by any means it's like this huge divide between those two.
No, I agree. It's really close. And that's why they're at 4-5 or 3-4 for me. It's really close. I mean, these are all insanely talented players. At the end of the day, and this kind of goes back to the whole argument that me and Rex had, is like so many of these players are so situational, and we only see them on one team. We only see them with 3 other teammates. Like there's so many X factors and situations where you're like, maybe this would work with in another situation playing individually, but it's all like hearsay, like just in theory. So at the end of the day, that's kind of the conversation. I mean, we've already been going on for a while, so it ended up being a pretty long combo. But I think we can probably just head into our intelligent or irrelevant conversation and kind of leave it here for now. Anybody have any final thoughts on our little rankings there? I guess for you guys looking at the final rankings, there's what it looks like for all the flexes. And anything else there from the boys? Any thoughts? No? Alrighty. Let's head into intelligent or irrelevant. Let's check it out.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Samuel, what do you got for us? What's intelligent or irrelevant today?
I got roasted in the comments for this one, apparently.
Oh, really?
I did. I thought this would be an interesting conversation. Who is coming in second in Group A for Stage 5?
So a little bit before we get into this chat, a little backstory. I went down to get some G Fuel, and I told Sam, this is yours.
Yeah.
Let's just see what happens.
Oh, so you're putting the blame on me just in case. Okay, I see.
I'm joking. It's gonna be great. So, who are the options here?
Okay, Thieves.
Okay,
Optic.
Okay,
Subliners. And Legion. I had to put a 4th in there, because why not?
Yeah.
But I'll look at the comment. Sorry.
Okay.
Everyone chose Subliners. They had to.
Probably, yeah.
That was a little probably one-sided.
I would think so, but there is an argument for Optic. There's an argument for Thieves with the new roster.
Yeah, so 90% of people probably chose
Absolutely.
Subliners.
Yeah, they did. I'm choosing
Paris.
Optic.
Oh, okay. How nice of you.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, very, very one-sided. Subliners, 69%.
Oh, nice.
Second is Optic at 21%. Third is Thieves at 6%, and Legion's got 2.6%.
Oh, that's nice of them.
So
I want to find the comment for Elephant Paris.
I know.
I want to see if anybody defended Paris. That'd be comedy.
So I'll take the comments. Here we go. JD Biscuit, y'all need to make harder ones. This was the easiest one yet.
Oh.
Oof, ouch. ZVDDY music doesn't make sense. It's not even close. LOL. Odds Freak Show. NOSL all day. Let's be real. If Optic actually wanted to do something, they need to put their ego and excuses to the side and understand they have issues to make a change. We waited for them to show up and land, and they didn't finally blow us away. Dustin Sepp says, out of all the polls you guys have done, this is by far the most obvious one.
Oh, Dustin Sepp has by far the best comment.
You have 3 barely above average teams on there with one of the top dogs in the league. None of the other 3 teams even hold a candle to Donnie.
Okay, my dad, Paris, mother friggin' Legion. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Dustin. That's what we like to see right there.
Yeah,
that is what we like to see right there, baby.
Well, I'm sorry for screwing this whole thing up.
You have 3 barely above average teams and the Paris Legion, baby. Yes, sir. Well,
I
boys,
thought it could be interesting.
That was, I mean, intelligent for the people, irrelevant for Sam.
I was hoping for some cool conversation.
We were trying to get this tougher for people out here. I want to call people out on being irrelevant, but now I have to call you out on being irrelevant. Dude,
Well, sometimes you
come
wonder if the
on.
optic hype will like carry, but it seems to not do that so much.
I cannot wait until
Yeah.
I cannot wait. Mark my words. I'm going to quote tweet this when Subliners become in third.
I love it. Okay.
The optic
okay.
wins or something.
And yeah,
Get second.
Oh my gosh.
I like it. I like
I
the
cannot
fire.
wait. I cannot
love
wait.
the fire. So, what to say? What are you guys watching this week?
Mm,
Loki again. Yes, sir. Loki's been fire.
nice.
I can't wait. New episodes coming
Yeah,
out
when are those episodes coming out? Like I
Tonight.
finished all
2
3.
a.m.
The other one's out tonight. All right, dope,
Yeah.
dope.
3 a.m. Eastern.
3 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Damn.
But you know I'm watching that right at 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's been sick. It's been really, really fun.
I'm
You
not,
watch
I've been
Sam?
watching. Oh, go ahead.
I'm not watching anything really.
NBA, the Western Conference Finals.
Probably not.
Oh, darn.
Yeah.
I've
Probably
been watching
not.
this show called Dirty John.
Whoa.
Oh,
what's
sounds
that
like a
about?
show
It's like,
Sam like.
It's like a true crime TV
Yeah.
show, but instead of like doing like documentary style, like you always see, it's like it's more like a TV show.
Okay.
Like you follow the main characters like doing what they do, but like it's all based off real stuff.
What's like
But it's
the
not
premise?
like you have like a voiceover coming in and be like, and then he went to the store and stole money or
Found him
whatever.
in his natural habitat.
Yeah, it's just like it just
The
shows
back alley behind
them like
Shields.
acting out what they did. Like the actors just do like what happened and like explains the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a good show. 'Cause it's not documentary style like that.
That's cool. That's
Mhm.
cool. Conor
And it's a
McGregor
real
fights in
story.
2 weeks. That's exciting.
Who does he fight?
Yes.
Dustin Poirier is their third match. Their third, the trio, the trilogy. So that's pretty big. I mean,
Is it-
Conor needs to win this.
Is it 1-1?
Yeah, it's 1-1. Conor won the first one, like, what was that, 7 years ago? And
Oh,
then Dustin
geez.
won last year.
Oh.
So here we are, number 3.
Oh.
If Conor loses, then he'll probably have to fight like Nate Diaz again or something. But we'll see. Yeah, so with that said, I guess we could just count it there. That's it for the pod. It's been a long one. Another marathon. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. Share the video if you guys really enjoyed it. We do appreciate that. Of course, drop those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Drop a comment on YouTube. We really do appreciate it. Drop a like on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you don't ever miss an upload. Because sometimes we upload on Wednesdays because people are in Omaha. But anyway, at
roasted
the
tonight.
end of the day, like, comment, subscribe, share if you guys really enjoy it. We do appreciate it. But as always, I'm your boy SalvationsElite. To my right is Bo3, and to our farthest right, per usual, is Rex, Shady Nero. And guys, we will see you next time. We out.